When you think of team building, what's the first thing that comes to mind? For us, it's the trust fall. A trust fall is a team building exercise in which a person deliberately allows themselves to fall, trusting the members of a group to catch them. But oftentimes, that's not what happens. A Google of trust falls turns up a lot of trust fall fails, but strangely, no trust fall wins.
So you have to trust us. So I'm going to count to 3. Just relax and fall. Okay? 1, 2, 3. No, wait! No!
You aren't here to fail. You are here to win. So today, on the Internal Comms Procast, we are moving beyond the trust fall. We talk to Renee Young of Grainger. She shares real advice for building trust and camaraderie in 21st century teams. What works, what doesn't, and why we should kill the trust fall once and for all. The Internal Comms Procast is sponsored by Circle. Circle automatically personalizes your staff newsletter, website, and intranet using the content you're already creating. Let Circle help you measure and increase employee engagement while saving your team more than 40 hours a month. Request your personalized demo at circle.com. That's CERKL.com. Welcome to the Internal Comms Procast. I am your host, Barry Williams. Let's meet today's guest.
I'm Renee Young. I'm with the corporate communications team with Grainger. Specifically, I work with CEO, CFO, and general counsel communications, as well as manage the internal channels for the company. So I really lucked into internal communications. I actually was studying to become a professor of 18th century English literature and had finished my master's, was on my way to go for a PhD, and I had a nice professor who said, you know what, you might want to think about something else, and, this is what the market looks like. And I was always a good writer and found myself looking for a job and had an opportunity to manage a corporate magazine. And basically from there, have spent 19 years in corporate communications. When I first started internal comms, I actually, was not schooled in it. So I was really coming in, let's call it dazed and confused a little bit. And so I believed that there was a playbook. I believed that, okay, everybody knew the rules, everybody knew what to do, and I had no clue, and I was just trying to fake it. And in reality, everybody's just trying to do their best. There is nothing that's written in stone. And I think I kind of learned that a little quickly and kind of just kept trusting my gut on things and trusting the relationships I had, and also making sure that I knew the business inside and out so that I could actually have informed conversations. So I've had 19 years with Grainger, and I've pretty much had a different job nearly every year. Some of them have been in communications, and some of them have been in other parts of the organization, like marketing, customer service, brand, that type of thing.
If you are racking your brain to remember where you've seen Grainger before, the answer is anywhere big jobs are getting done.
So Grainger is actually, I think, a great American small business becoming a billion-dollar business story. So it was founded in 1927, and out of the back of a truck where somebody had the vision to understand that industrial America was going to need motors. Basically, the founder started this business and took it from the U.S. through North America, and now we're global. We are the leading industrial supplier, and that means basically we sell everything that businesses need to keep up and running, including motors, cleaning equipment, safety supplies.
Since its humble beginnings in 1927, Grainger has grown into a worldwide company, supplying more than 3 million customers. Grainger has staffers working in corporate offices and distribution centers, along with mobile sales and service providers on the ground, where customers need them the most. Like most organizations, strong teams are needed to make Grainger successful. Renee says communicators are well equipped to tackle this task.
I think building teams is probably one of the best parts about being a human. So I think one of the things that is probably the most important things about communications is that we bring people together. And, when I think about being in communications, to me, it's really having a golden ticket. As a communications professional, it's actually our job to be curious and ask questions, so that we know the business inside and out. We do it by building relationships, spending time with employees, with our customers, and learning firsthand how things work and how things are connected. And I think by doing that and understanding the connections, we actually can become connectors in the business. And that is, I think, one of the core competencies and one of the best parts of being in communications is that you really are bringing people together and solving problems for the business. I think a lot of what we do today is about creating relationships. And I think we can never underestimate the power of the face-to-face conversation. We talk a lot today about the benefits of technology and creating virtual relationships and virtual teams, but it's those in-person opportunities that really create bond and develop memories. It's exciting when you can see people connect with each other to build solutions and create new things that individually we could never do.
When staff gather, there can be pressure to make the most of the time you have together. Oftentimes, the communicator is tasked with one of the most difficult jobs of an important meeting: the icebreaker. Done well, a great icebreaker can set the tone for a productive meeting. But when an icebreaker goes wrong, it can derail progress and cast a further chill on the room. To get things on track, Renee says she likes to kick off meetings with a design thinking exercise.
So I think one of the things that I try to do if we're having a meeting about a topic that we need to get to a solution about, and everyone's kind of frozen a bit, I think we start with some design thinking. And what that means is really starting with kind of the end result of what we want to get to in, 4 months, 6 months. What's that statement? And then getting everybody to kind of think through what's the opposite of that. Like, what's the challenge there? Let's have some fun. Let's talk about things we've done in other companies to let people share their stories. Most of the things that I go to are about helping people share their stories with other team members. Because once we do that, candidly, most people do like to talk about themselves. And if you can root it in something that is tied to the business, that even creates a safer space.
If the focus of a gathering requires some team building, you may be tempted to do a hasty Google of trust-building exercises. But before you open that search window, pause and think of your goal. The rollicking round of 2 truths and a lie you planned could distract the team from what bonds you were truly trying to create. Renee explains.
So those are the types of exercises where there really isn't a specific outcome, where you're not actually getting to build trust with people, when you're not meeting the team where they're at that time. I think one of the things in communications, and especially in this day and age, it seems things are moving faster and faster. You're dealing with things that are in the gray, and how do you make sure that you're meeting people where they are at a certain time? And so I think if you start with the team member and start with trying to be authentic and build trust, you can do that. I think some of those kind of trite things that you can Google are just not worth it. I think that actually those can kind of mask what really needs to happen. And so when I think about communicators in particular, I think, we want to be in the know, and the best way to build a strong team and build trust is to keep everyone informed and included. And so I think some of the best things that you can do to build the team is to make sure that everybody is informed on projects, invite people to brainstorm on things, to share materials to review, to really create that understanding of trust and confidentiality on the team. I don't think there's anything else that can really destroy a team by making people feel like they're not part of it. And so in communications, because we handle so many different things, I think there's a great opportunity to pull everybody in as much as possible.
Coming up on the Internal Comms Procast, Renee Young shares how she helps empower Grainger's teams to build the trust they need for the challenges ahead. Internal Comms Pro is proud to present the Rise and Shine series, coming to a city near you. Engaging and energizing, Rise and Shine events are designed with the IC Pro in mind. A featured speaker kicks off the event with a talk about the most current strategies, tools, and best practices. Then a panel of experts shares how they applied the speaker's topic in their own organizations. You will leave with new ideas you can actually implement the next day. See where we are going to be next and join the fun at internalcommspro.com/shine. Welcome back. Renee's belief in bringing employees together goes far beyond exercise participation. She says she's found success having the employees plan exercises as well.
I think one of the best ways to figure out what exercises are going to resonate is actually by asking team members and seeing what they want to get out of something and then kind of figuring out what your outcome is and then dialing back with it. For example, one of the best exercises we did was, people were feeling like they weren't having an opportunity to be creative. We were really in a lot of change in the organization. People were working on a lot of change communications and there was a lot of tough stuff going on. And so one of the exercises that we did to really kind of get the team's juices flowing again was we wrote short stories as part of our team exercise. And it was like a 2-minute story and people got to be creative and people got to laugh. And I think it's providing those opportunities for people to relax, to be themselves, and to turn on different parts of their brains at different times.
To give even more ownership over the solution, Renee encourages employees to plan and lead their team building activities, trusting them even when the suggested activities are a little unorthodox.
So I think one of the things that I do is I look at our own team. I ask them what they want to do, and then I usually ask them to lead it. And I think that's whether that team building is something like I talked about, like professional development, or it could be something like axe throwing, and I'm being honest with that. It's, hey, you know what? The majority of the team really wants to do this. I'm a little uncomfortable, but I'm willing to trust them and to do it. And that actually builds that trust among the team that, everybody's got a voice and everybody can lead something to make the team better. One part of measuring that success is making sure that everyone has all their fingers and toes once we're done. I think the other part is how much more collaboration are we seeing? I don't think that there's any kind of thing that we can say, okay, are people having X amount of times, more engagement? I think it's more seeing the tone of the team, seeing how people are interacting, seeing how people are maybe coming together to talk about challenges that they're having. I think it goes back to, again, building those relationships so people feel like they're in a safe space and they also can be who they are.
When new leaders join established organizations, it can be hard to get up to speed on the history and customs of their new workplace home. No amount of intranet articles or corporate handbooks will ever tell you the true story. Renee says this is an opportunity for the new leader to develop trust by listening to the staff.
Building great teams really begins with trust, and you build trust by being inclusive, being authentic, and being vulnerable. Most importantly, you do this by sharing information so your team's empowered. We create safe spaces for sharing information about yourself, about your work, and that way you build really strong, supportive teams that are better able to navigate the challenges that we're all facing today. So as a new leader, I think one of the first things that you really need to establish is trust. Let them tell you the stories. Some of the things that I think have worked really well in the past when we've had new leaders is doing kind of your narrative. You tell your timeline. And so you let people kind of give their life story the way they want to do it. And the things that they want to highlight, the lowlights. And so that everybody can quickly get to know each other and be a little vulnerable. And that includes the leader being vulnerable as well as the new team members being vulnerable. It's a good way to start setting that expectation of trust, authenticity within a team. I think more than ever, there's really a need for authenticity. I think we mentioned this. The big reality is there's no playbook. There's just experience. And in pretty much every case, people are just trying to do their best no matter what generation they're in. I think right now we're in uncharted waters with it a bit. But I believe if you stick with the basics, building relationships, learning the business, being authentic, asking questions, being inclusive, you're going to do a much better job navigating gray and bringing your teams along with you.
We want to thank Renee for joining us on this episode. We would love to know who you'd like to hear from on the Internal Comms Procast. Head over to our site, internalcommspro.com/podcast, and fill out the contact form. Internal Comms Procast is produced by Super Awesome Media. Our executive producer is Rachel Foles. Gina Morvek is our associate producer. Our theme music is Please Listen Carefully by Jazzer via the Free Music Archive. Our intro music is Sea of Glass by Connor Sweeney. Thank you for listening.